Definitely is more deliberate in his conversations. Always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Scaver and when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
At some point, these ADs are going to learn we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience who's gone out and recruited, who know how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
20-34. They are 14 games below 500. Any given night, you have no idea who is going to play for Philadelphia. Embiid has missed so many more games than he has actually played this year.
I will not bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I will not bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I will not bet on the Ravens because for the last 4 years now, I do it every year, and I want to hit myself in the head with a bat.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. All right, welcome in. A very happy Friday to you now, the 21st of February. It is Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, and certainly appreciate you stopping by for the next hour and 55 minutes or so as we get you ready for a nice night on the hardwood. It's good to have the NBA back here. Plenty of games to dissect after, I don't know, whatever that was out west. They called it an all-star game. I called it putrid. But they are back in action here tonight, heading into the weekend. Final stretch here of the regular season for the NBA, so a lot going on there. And then, of course, we only got about 3 or 4 games left for teams here in the regular season in college basketball, as before we know it, conference championships will be here. Selection Sunday. Get ready for madness because March is right around the corner. But before we get to a absolutely loaded slate tomorrow on Saturday in college, we do have some really intriguing games tonight on this Friday. And who better to kick us off here on the hardwood than our good friend, the coach, JY in the house, James Young here. Coach, happy Friday to you. Big East is where all eyes are going to be. And I heard maybe you might be at this game until I learned, well, they're playing where the Sixers play. They're not really playing where Villanova plays. But Nova has an opportunity here to kind of right the ship a little bit against Marquette. Game feature of the night. That'll be up first. What do you think we're going to get from these two teams?
First off, shout out to all my college teammates, my Green Mountain College guys that are listening all over the East Coast. They all were hitting me up. But Joe, you know me. How many last stands has Villanova had? Like 10? And you thought after they beat St. John's at home, here we go. What do? They go at Providence. They lose. Then they have UConn up 14, score 6 points the rest of the way. But now they're back home. Backs against the wall again. Probably have to win out the regular season and then win. I would say win at least 1, if not 2 games in the Big East tournament, but they're capable. Senior night, I'm taking Villanova plus a 1.5. Listen, Marquette's lost their last 2 games at home. I'm on the road. Villanova's won their last 2 at home. They'll ride Eric Dixon. Give me Nova plus the 1.5. I actually think they win outright.
Yeah, not a big fan of Kyle Neptune here, but you would think, Coach, prime time here that these guys will be ready for it. And of course, former University of Miami player better step up for Villanova here tonight in Poplar. So the game that everyone is going to be featured on, of course, is the Battle of Michigan, where Michigan State and Coach Izzo on the road. Ann Arbor taking on Michigan here. Fascinating game, a game in which, Coach, we have seen the total is the thing that's gotten bet the most so far to the under from about 152.5, 153. It feels like a coin flip, Coach. Is it a coin flip game for you here?
It's a coin flip game for me, and that's why if it's -2.5, that obviously means that they think it's a coin flip, right? Because usually 2.5 points is generally what you give the home side. I'm going Michigan. Why? It's in Ann Arbor. It's a big game. I do believe Michigan undefeated at home in Big Ten play. Shout out to Dusty May, just reported in the last hour. Dusty May got a contract extension by Michigan. Why? Because Indiana was probably going to come calling. Too late. Missed your mark last year. Should have got rid of Woodson. But give me Michigan on the money line tonight at home.
All right, going with Michigan in their building here tonight. Should be a fun one. That's going to be one of the later games. And then, of course, another interesting one, our good friend Doug Gottlieb is a coach. I don't know if you knew that, JY. He's actually, I thought he was a radio guy, but apparently he's a college basketball coach and not a very good one. Robert Morris at the door here tonight, but they are coming off of a win. They beat Wright State during the week. Coach, hard to believe Wright State lost that game to Green Bay, Wisconsin, but yet here they are. Can they make it 2 in a row, Coach?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, Wright State, more like wrong state. By the way, Wright State -3.5 tonight. They should bounce back over Northern Kentucky. Give me Bobby Moe. That's the nickname for Robert Morris, of course. It was 14.5. It's down to 13.5. Listen, Robert Morris 10-0 against the spread the last 10 games. Andy Toole's done a fantastic job. I've known Andy a long time. He's done a good job with them. They already have an 89-67 win over Green Bay earlier this year. Green Bay, you got to win. This ain't going to be a winning streak. Give me Bobby Moe, -13.5 right now.
All right, there you go. We got Nova, Michigan, and Robert Morris here tonight. Let's transition into the NBA. It's good to have that back here, Coach. Couple of interesting games. A lot of teams on the second of a back-to-back, including the Milwaukee Bucks. We all know Bobby Portis needs to figure out a better physician there. Also, no Dame Lillard here tonight, Coach, in this one. But I guess, I don't know, is it the Middleton show now, facing his former team? What happens here tonight with the Milwaukee Bucks?
Listen, Milwaukee's got to start to make their charge here and be consistent because as RFC reports that Giannis is upset and they want to make a run. If you look at the game, the line is low. I think it's 5.5, 6. Do shop around. But when you really think about this matchup, both teams are good against the spread lately. 3-1 for the Bucks, 6-1 for the Wizards. Here's the key. They've played twice this year. They've won both games by double digits. Somebody gets busy. Maybe it's Kyle Kuzma. Give me the Milwaukee Bucks minus the points on the road.
Yeah, they are saying Middleton likely to make his Wizards debut against, of all teams, well, his former one, the Milwaukee Bucks here tonight.
He'll probably get hurt. He'll probably get hurt in the first quarter.
Oh, no.
Anyway.
Yeah, the air conditioning was on high, Coach. I heard he stumbled, and that was the end of it. He'll be out for another 6 months. How about them New York Knicks? This is an odd number, too. Cleveland coming off a game last night that they had to come from behind against the Nets, but now the Knicks get them, and the Knicks are getting 8.5. 241.5 as a total, Coach. What gives?
Listen, I understand Josh Hart is out. We know OG probably won't play. He's questionable. But how is this line 241.5? Right? The 9 times they've played, they've gone into 220 back-to-back games. Both teams. Both of them come from the New York area because Cleveland played at Brooklyn. Big game for both teams, competitive. I go under 241.5.
All right. Well, no Wembanyama tonight or the rest of the season here, Coach. San Antonio at home, though, welcoming in the Pistons. What gives in this one?
I'm going to take the Pistons -4.5. By the way, Shams just reported that OG Anunoby is playing tonight, so it's going to be in the lineup. But really quick, 3 quick props. Moses Moody over 12.5 points. Sacramento gets up to 24th most amount of points in regards to shooting guards. Sneaky pick. Tobias Harris over 5.5 rebounds. Spurs on a second leg of back-to-back. Number 4 team in rebounding differential over the 21 team. And P.J. Washington over 1.5 made threes. He should get busy and get too loose versus the Pelicans.
All right, there you go. You heard it from the one and only Coach J.Y. in the house. Rumor has it, Coach, you might make an appearance on In Game Live tomorrow afternoon, I believe. A lot of great college hoops action tomorrow. Of course, I'll believe it when I see it. But, Coach, enjoy the night. No, enjoy the night. I don't want to put any pressure on you. No pressure. Game Time Decisions continues.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets and when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on this Friday. Hope it has been a profitable week for you. If not, what a weekend we've got coming up. And it starts tonight with 20 games in college basketball, 40 teams in action. A couple of big games are going to take center stage here over the next couple of hours. The Big East will focus Villanova taking on Marquette, and Marquette, of course, has righted the ship after a couple of, pretty significant losses in Big East play, and there seems to be a theme here with this Marquette team is they can handle the bottom feeders. They can beat the DePauls of the world, but can they beat anybody that's, well, halfway decent? And that is going to be the big question here. Nice win over Seton Hall last week, but let's be realistic. I'm fairly certain me and most of the guys in the control room could probably score more than Seton Hall can in a game, and Marquette beat them in DePaul. But prior to that, losses to Creighton, losses to St. John's, losses to UConn. So it's been a rough road, and Nova choked away against UConn a couple of nights ago, where they blew a huge lead in the final couple of minutes of that game, allowed UConn to outscore them, I believe, 24-4 down the stretch, and eventually UConn won that game 66-59. They also lost on the road at Providence, but prior to that, they beat St. John's. They beat Xavier. So which two teams show up here tonight, I think, is going to be the big question. This one is not on the campus of Villanova. This is going to be at the Wells Fargo. So this is where I believe, in the Wells Fargo Center, where the Philadelphia 76ers play. So a little bit different. This Nova team, I believe, 1-1 this year, playing at the Wells Fargo Center, which again is a stone's throw away from where their campus is. So that is going to be one of the first games up here tonight, 7:00 Eastern time. That tip-off will happen. Pretty big spot here for both these teams. I think, obviously, with Marquette being ranked here, and Nova, they could use another big signature win, and this would go a long way to helping their resume no matter what happens in the Big East tournament. And then, of course, we were talking Michigan and Michigan State. What a game that is going to be. Coach Izzo in the house here tonight on the road. Does he have enough in the tank here with this Spartans team to be able to get the job done? Well, listen, I think there's a correlation in this game between side and total. Michigan has won 6 in a row. They're now 12-0 straight up at home, but they're only 6-6 against the number. And during this 6-game winning streak, by the way, they have only won games by 4 points or less in each of the conference games that they were able to handle business. It just feels like at 3.5, if you can get them, and you like Michigan State, I think you got to look at the under in this game here tonight. In no way, listen, we all know Michigan State can't hit the 3. They have nobody who can shoot it, at least with consistency. It has been a rough year for Michigan State from 3, but what they are is extremely physical, and what they are is going to make life difficult. They have a lot of big bodies that they can throw at Golden and Wolf, the big men for Michigan. We also know Michigan turns the ball over a ton. Now, Michigan State doesn't exactly get a bunch of turnovers, but this is going to be a very physical game here tonight. And I think if you like Michigan State, you are definitely going to like the under here. If you like Michigan, then I definitely think you got to be looking at the over, because if you like Michigan to be able to handle business, they got to be able to score, and score they can. And we know this with them, but this number being in the 150s seemed a little high to me, although they barely got by Ohio State. They barely got by Purdue. They were at Indiana. Again, it's a one-possession game there. Oregon was another one in which they only won by 4. So if this is going to be a close game, advantage Michigan State. But if this is going to be a big Michigan win, then, yeah, I would expect 80 points, 80-plus points from them in order to get this done, at which point you're probably best looking at the over. I'm going to look also at the first half under in this game. I love the matchup here for Michigan State and their ability to be able to throw a whole lot of forwards at Michigan's 1-2 punch there of a couple of 7-footers with Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden there. I think there's going to be a little bit of a feeling out because this is going to feel like a heavyweight fight here tonight. And I think Dusty May is going to have his team making sure they don't give Michigan State a whole lot of easy buckets early. Dusty May could find some foul trouble here and want to avoid it. So at 71.5, 72 is the first half total. I think that's a big number for a Michigan State team that doesn't score very well in the first half because they kind of like to impose their will physically on teams. I think they'll do that again. I think this will be a great opportunity, by the way, to bet this game in-game live, which, of course, will be covered here on the SportsGrid Network. But I think there's a good opportunity, back the under early, and then adjust for the second half. I think there's a way to double dip in this marquee matchup here tonight. We are getting some updates here on the injury report in the NBA here tonight. Some big names not available to their teams. We'll let you know the who, what, where, and how, and is the market adjusting enough accordingly? We're seeing a big move here for the New York Knicks now that OG Anunoby has been cleared and will go here tonight. But they still don't have Josh Hart. They still don't have Mitchell Robinson available to them here tonight. A lot of mixing and matching going on in the association. We'll talk more about it as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Slow play, drum beat grows louder and louder every week to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Raineri when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
At some point, these ADs are going to learn we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience who's gone out and recruited, who know how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams. Who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
20-34. They are 14 games below 500. Any given night, you have no idea who is going to play for Philadelphia. Embiid has missed so many more games than he has actually played this year.
I will not bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I will not bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I will not bet on the Ravens because for the last 4 years now, I do it every year, and I want to hit myself in the head with a bat.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as we're gathering more information on who's in and who's out tonight in the NBA. Now would be a good time to check in with our good friends Joe Madden and Tom Vecchio because they no doubt have some places to look when it comes to the Sports Millions Pick'em tonight. And what do you guys got for us?
Happy Friday, everyone. Joe and Tom here. Time to jump into our Sports Millions Pick'ems. Now, Tom, I actually had a great performance yesterday out of Josh Giddey. I took him higher than 13.5, and that number had moved from a 12.5 for his points for the Chicago Bulls versus the Knicks. Now, that was an intense game going into overtime, and Josh Giddey able to put up 27 points on the board, so doubling his number on Sports Millions. So I was happy to see that. How did you do yesterday with your Sports Millions Pick'em?
Halliburton was cruising towards the under most of the game, and then he hits one late three with about 2.5 minutes, 2:40 left on the clock to push him higher. And, it is what it is. 2-2 on the week. Let's try and close things out with the win. Of course, we'll be back with some NHL, some NBA next week as we get rolling towards the end of the season. But today I want to go to Kyrie Irving of the Dallas Mavericks, lower than 27.5 points. As I mentioned yesterday, expecting most of these teams to come out a little bit slow this side of the All-Star break. But I think most importantly, I want to take the context of what the Mavericks, or where the Mavericks are in the standings and what they need to do moving forward. We know that Anthony Davis is out. Obviously, Luka's been traded away. When we look at the Mavericks overall, Kyrie is averaging 24.6 points per game. Max Christie, newly acquired, is averaging 17 points in only the 6 games that he's played with him. After that, there's no other player on the team for the Mavericks that's averaging more than 15 points. So when I'm looking at the Mavericks overall, I think they need to find a pure secondary scorer alongside Kyrie, because they're sitting in 8th place right now in the standings. They need to have someone else that can help carry the offense. So this isn't about Kyrie going out and putting up 30 or 40 points every night. They need some help on offense, and it's time for them to figure that out, get things ironed out before the playoffs start. So I think Kyrie's going to play more of a facilitator role. So I'm going to take him lower than 27.5 points, and it's about the Mavericks having a well-rounded team effort tonight. I know the matchup against the Pelicans is super easy, but they need someone else to step up and be there alongside Kyrie to carry the offense. What do you got?
Okay, I love where you're going there with that one. Looks like you're onto a winner, Tom. I'm going to look at the matchup here between the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Raptors are at home in this one, and we have seen the Heat win 2 of the 3 meetings so far this season. But one thing that has stayed consistent is Scotty Barnes here for the Toronto Raptors has been solid at putting up those points. Now, over on Sports Millions, we do have a point number of 20.5, and I will take that to the higher. Looking at him over his last 5 games versus the Heat, we do see a number lower than this at 20.2, but when we look at him on this season, those 3 games he's played in on this season, averaging right around that 23 points per game. That last game was at home in Toronto. We saw him play 35 minutes out there on the hardwood with 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. So there's a lot of ways you can go with Scotty Barnes, because he does have a rebound number of 10.5. I think with Brandon Ingram, if he hits that court tonight, acquired from the Pelicans, we could see those rebounds and assists coming in for Scotty Barnes, but I still think he wants to be the star of this team. So I'm going to trust in him to go higher than 20.5 points tonight out here for the Toronto Raptors.
We are fully back with NBA. We'll be fully back with NHL starting next week. Great time to be a sports fan as we get to the end of the seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of us sitting 2-2 on the week. Let's go for the sweep today, Tom, and we'll see you guys back here on Monday.
Appreciate it, Joe and Tom, as always. But don't forget, if Pick'em ain't your thing, you can try the Sports Millions Blitz'em.
Enjoy Sports Millions Pick'ems, but hate making the picks yourself? Well, Sports Millions has you covered. Head on over and play Sports Millions Blitz'em right now and let the computer do the work. Go to sportsmillions.com/blitz'em to be able to win big prizes without having to make a single pick yourself. That's sportsmillions.com/blitz'em.
All right, great stuff here. 1 hour, a half hour in the books. We got much more to get to. We've got a update on the NBA injury report. We've got an update from the PGA Tour. So much more to get to. Come back and join us as Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
slow play drum beat grows louder and louder every week, to the point now that they're making overt references to it on the broadcast.
So there's plenty of other guys that have to get faster. Tom definitely is more deliberate in his conversations, always has been since he's been on tour. I just think about Joe Raineri, when those two started working together, how their conversations always seem to just keep on going and going.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
At some point, these 80s are going to learn we don't need to hire ex-NBA guys. I need guys with college experience who's gone out and recruited, who know how to develop talent. NBA guys with no college experience don't work in college basketball. I understand they run NBA-style offenses, but it doesn't mean they can run college programs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
In a short format tournament like this, like the Olympics, now this is even smaller, only 4 teams, who's got the best goaltending? Over, you're talking 3 round robin games and then a knockout with 4 teams. So you're playing 5 games.
I'm not sold yet, Mike, on the USA stuff, on the merch, but I think I'm sold on the USA at least being in the final.
Only on SportsGrid.
20-34. They are 14 games below 500. Any given night, you have no idea who is going to play for Philadelphia. Embiid has missed so many more games than he has actually played this year.
I will not bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I will not bet on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. I will not bet on the Ravens because for the last 4 years now, I do it every year, and I want to hit myself in the head with a bat.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, getting ready for a nice slate on the hardwood here tonight. College basketball, 1 game underway. We've got 20 in total tonight. Great slate in the association, but just a couple of notes for you. Guys not playing here tonight, second of a back-to-back. Vince Williams Jr. out for Memphis. Memphis lost last night against Indiana. They now back on the road taking on Orlando, and it looks like Orlando getting a little bit of love in the market. And keep in mind also that we will have no Taurean Prince and we will have no Damian Lillard for the Milwaukee Bucks here tonight, who are taking on the Washington Wizards, which so happens to be the brand new team of former Milwaukee Buck legend Chris Middleton. So that could be a very interesting spot as well. Also interesting, trying to figure out how to pronounce the names at the Mexico Open right now. That has been real interesting, which is why we're bringing in Brady Cannon, because if anybody can rattle these names off, it's certainly you. Brady, I'm buying vowels here. I'll take an I, I'll buy an E, but some of the names, not household names right now on the PGA Tour, but some familiar names here. Just not the guy that's leading it right now, but Steven Jaeger, very much alive in this tournament. And I believe you might have talked about him last time we spoke.
Yeah, Jaeger is certainly a player that has done very well here in the past. He checks all the boxes, hits it long, and I expect him to probably finish with a good tournament showing here down at the Mexico Open, Vedanta Vallarta. But I'll tell you what, there are some red flags about Jaeger right now. He is currently ranked 4th in the field for strokes gained putting. That's great, but we know that typically cannot hang on for 4 rounds when he's 62nd in the field on approach, 66th in the field in driving accuracy, and 64th for greens and regulation. So a little bit smoke and mirrors there with Jaeger, just kind of hanging on with a hot putter right now. Now, the young man you're referring to at the top of the leaderboard, 20-year-old, big-hitting South African, Aldrich Potgieter. And yes, this guy was a very hot commodity coming into this tournament. He's really a rising star for sure on the PGA Tour that a lot of people had faith in this week. And one of the reasons they did is because he hits it so far. He is number one on the PGA Tour in driving distance. And this golf course has typically catered to the bombers. Now, the guy went super low today, shot a 61. And that typically does not come with a follow-up round that is anywhere near that. I wouldn't be surprised if he shot like even par or maybe 1 or 2 under par on Saturday. He's putting lights out. He's number 1 in the field for strokes gained putting. He's number 4 in the field for iron play, strokes gained approach. But he is 130th, nearly dead last for driving accuracy. And there's not a lot of rough at this track. And obviously it's not giving him a problem yet. But if he keeps missing fairways, there's a lot of water on this course and a lot of bunkers. He's eventually going to get in trouble if he can't straighten that driver out. So I'm not going all in on Put Guitar. I'm not all in on Yager because of what his stats are telling me. But right there lurking is a guy who got his first win on tour last year at the Wyndham. Aaron Rai, the Englishman, his game looks really good right now. Number 1 in this field for strokes gained approach, 10th in driving accuracy, number 1 in greens in regulation, but the putting has been very average, if not below average, at 54th in this field. And, this guy's a pretty decent putter. He didn't used to be. He improved a heck of a lot last season. So if that putter just gets a little bit better over the weekend, I like him with the way the rest of his game is going.
So what wins this tournament, and how far down the board could we realistically look come Saturday and Sunday? 7 under, 8 under? Is that where you draw the line? Or do you think if you're in single digits right now, it's probably too far gone?
It's a great question, and I think you nailed it. I think 7 or 8 under is right the line of demarcation. I think it's actually 7 has a shot. I think those folks that are at 7 under par have a shot. Whether it's Put Guitar, Yager, whoever it is, I think at the end of tomorrow, your leader's going to be at 17 or 18 under. So that means if somebody, is at 7 under par now, and they go out, shoot 6 under par tomorrow, 6, 7 under par on Saturday, you want to be within 4 shots of the lead on the final day. So I think those guys that are at 7 under now and 8, if they can get themselves within 3 or 4 shots of the lead heading into Sunday, and I still think that's realistic. So that would be about as low as I go. I think they're going to shatter the pregame number here at the Westgate Superbook. The number for the winning score was 20.5 under par. You've already got one guy at 16. Now, again, I think heading into Sunday, heading into Sunday, I think you're going to be about 17 or 18 as the lead. I think your winning score is probably maybe 24, which we saw Tony Finau get to a couple of years ago. Finau got it to 24. The biggest defense of this golf course, Joe, is the wind, and there's no wind in the forecast. It's less than 10 miles an hour. It's 80 degrees. It's like you and me, resort weather Saturday. We're going out and hacking around and just having some fun. That's what these guys are doing. There's nothing that's really making this very difficult. So I'd say 24. That means the guys that are at 7 have to go, a couple of rounds of 8 under par in a row to have a shot. And I think it's possible. This has been a birdie fest in the past, and without the wind, I think we're looking at that same formula.
So let's look a week ahead, because in my neck of the woods, Brady, the Cognizant Classic, the former Honda Classic, will be in Palm Beach Gardens, and some interesting names here as the schedule may have it. But also, you got horses for courses, and this course ain't for everybody, Brady. So what has your initial look? What have you been finding with the cast of characters going to be here in Palm Beach Gardens?
Well, a little bit disappointing that it lacks a little bit of star power, more so than I thought it would. I thought you might have a few more names, maybe even a Rory McIlroy. A Matthew Fitzpatrick has typically shown up here, but I guess they're all waiting until the following week at Bay Hill when we've got a signature event. You've got two big boy events in a row after the Cognizant. You've got Bay Hill, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, which is a signature event. And then you've got the Players' Championship. So you know these guys are going back-to-back for those two. But still, some pretty darn good names. If you're going to be out there, Joe, you can follow along with Gary Woodland, Brian Harmon, Shane Lowry, Billy Horschel, Ricky Fowler, Sepp's former winners in Sepp Straka and Soon J.M. And then one guy that I think is very interesting, the number one ranked amateur in the world right now is Luke Clanton. And he is going to be in the field, and he is a Florida State Seminole. And we've seen a lot of guys from the state of Florida do really well in these Florida events. They're so used to the Bermuda grass putting surface. You know, guys that went to Florida State like Danny Berger and Brooks Koepka, Billy Horschel, who went to Florida. A lot of these guys have really done well at this tournament. So I wouldn't be surprised if Luke Clanton comes in next week with a lot of fanfare, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did very well. You know, he's a great player. He'll have a lot of pressure and eyeballs and spotlight on him, but eventually this guy is going to live up to what the talent that he has shown.
Yeah, and there are some names of some guys and former champions that have been playing well so far this year, heading out of the West Coast into this East Coast swing. So there could be a big number to be had next week there, Brady. So I can't wait to hear your breakdown when we talk to you again next week. Enjoy the rest of the Mexico Open, Brady. Game Time Decisions continues next on the Grid.
I talked about AZ Fun a lot, folks, and said when she got back from that knee injury, remember, it's the second ACL tear she's had in her career, that she was going to be a difference maker. UConn is plus 330. They're not going to get challenged again in the Big East until they come out of conference play in a conference tournament. I still like them at plus 330 to win a national championship.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You watch playoff games. The playoffs are all that matter. The league's got an issue. They just don't want to admit it. They brag about how huge they are, how global they are, ratings are through the roof, profits are through the roof. I mean, between the NBA and NHL lying about their ratings and the money they make, I'm sick and tired of it.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. It is a busier Friday than usual when it comes to college hoops with 20 games on board and a couple, of course, big conference battles getting set to take place. The Big Ten will be a focus a little bit later. The Big East is going to be the first game up on the night as Marquette, number 16 Marquette, taking on Villanova. And who better to cash a few tickets with than our good friend Colby Dant here, breaking these college games down. And Colby, if you can tell me which Marquette and which Villanova show up, I can probably give you the winner. But I have no idea which one of these teams shows up. We've seen Marquette beat the bottom feeders, and we've seen Villanova beat the really good teams. So what do we do here in this game?
Yeah, and I was a bit surprised by the line. I thought it might be a little bit bigger in Marquette's favor, especially considering Kyle Neptune is winless against Shaka Smart. But I think the line is telling you something here. I'm going to buy into Nova. I think they have been playing better. They let UConn off the hook, but the game before that, they took down the Johnnies. They're in a desperate spot. We know Marquette's in. They're kind of out of the chance of winning. I know they're in second in the Big East right now, but I think it's very unlikely that they win the Big East right now. I think Nova's the more desperate team. I mean, I guess you could build a case that if UConn beats St. John's on Sunday, and then I think the Johnnies do play Marquette again. So I guess therefore it would be a tiebreaker, and maybe on a technicality they can get in, or as the one seed, I'm saying. But I think Nova. I think the line's telling you, because I'm a bit surprised. I thought this would be more like 3.5, 4. I don't know about you, but so I'm going to ride with Nova at home.
I took Villanova. Again, I don't trust teams like Marquette that have, congratulations, you beat DePaul. But when it's mattered the most against the Creightons of the world and the Johnnies, and they've been nowhere to be found here. And you're right, a desperate Villanova team. By the way, it's at the Wells Fargo. Does that change your opinion on this game at all? Because it's not on campus for them.
I would prefer it on campus. I don't know why these teams do this to themselves. It's different if it's St. John's. I kind of understand it if it's St. John's at the Garden. But a lot of these teams will do, they'll do these occasional games at random spots within, a stadium that's close by. I do think that hurts. But I still am going to go with Nova. You look at the way they've played, they should have beat Creighton at home. Creighton banked in a 3 from the side. You know what I mean? That's like 1 in a mill. Can't even do that in horse. So they took down the Johnnies in Philly. I think they get Marquette here, but excited to watch the game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Also, the Big Ten battle doesn't get any better when Michigan battles one another here, and that's what you got with Izzo taking on Michigan, who is a perfect, I believe, 12-0 at home. They've won 6 straight, but, there's a caveat to that, too. As I'm looking at some of these winning margins by Michigan, like, you got to be kidding me. Everything is one possession, maybe. I mean, I don't see anything more than 4 points. Most of those games, they were losing during them. This just doesn't feel like a great matchup for Michigan. I get that they're undefeated at home, but you want to give me 3.5 when Michigan State? What am I missing?
Yeah, I'm all over it. I'm actually going to take the money line too, because I just feel like Dusty May and Michigan have been very fortunate in these games at home. Now, credit to them, and he just signed an extension too. So I wonder where his head's at as far as prepping for Tom Izzo. But really, Michigan does turn the ball over a lot, and to me, against Tom Izzo, I don't like that, because Tom Izzo's team, first, they're top offensive and defensive rated in the top 50 in both categories. They're really good at rebounding, 14th in the nation in rebounding. I think you turn the ball over, Tom Izzo's going to probably draw out the clock a little bit. Give me Sparty to win this thing outright.
So situationally, a couple of very interesting games here tonight in the mid-major level. So last game out, Wright State shows up to Doug Gottlieb's Wisconsin Green Bay and gets absolutely smoked. Now Wright State has a game tonight, not an easy one either, I think, against Northern Kentucky. And yet now you got a winning streak going on. They finally won a game for Gottlieb, and they take on Robert Morris, who apparently covers every game that they play in. I'm not seeing the line going towards Robert Morris, though. I'm seeing it go towards Green Bay. So what gives here, Colby?
Yeah, I mean, well, first for the Wright State game, they're taking on Northern Kentucky. They're rivals there. Wright State won the first one. I think I like the Norse to at least cover the second one, if not win it outright. On the Gottlieb front, I just can't lay that big of a number in the Horizon League. And I understand I've gotten burned on some of these with Green Bay, but anytime you're getting 15.5, 16, in the Horizon League, 98% of these games are like, by 2 to 4 points. I understand Green Bay is really, really bad. I'm loading up. Robert Morris is in what? They're in the top of the conference right there in the mix. I just don't think there's that big of a discrepancy between the top and the bottom in the Horizon League, despite Gottlieb and that awful performance where they had lost 17 or 18, I think it was 21 actually straight games prior to that win. But give me the points. I hope I don't sound crazy.
Well, you know what happens. Winning changes a lot of things when it comes to teams here. So maybe we get a more energized and motivated Wisconsin Green Bay. And you're right. We're not asking them to win outright. Just stay within the 14.5, 15 points. I think we are good to go in that one there. I do think there are some interesting mid-major games on tap here tonight. But of course, when it comes to tomorrow's slate of games, we've got some monsters coming up here, Colby. So when we get back, I want to ask you your thoughts on some of these games because we're starting to see some lines and some money come in on teams. It feels like everybody seems to think Texas Tech is going to bounce back in a big way against West Virginia. Should be very interesting. So don't go anywhere. We'll get some final thoughts from Colby when Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
I talked about AZ Fudd a lot, folks, and said when she got back from that knee injury, remember, it's the second ACL tear she's had in her career, that she was going to be a difference maker. UConn is plus 330. They're not going to get challenged again in the Big East until they come out of conference play in the conference tournament. I still like them at plus 330 to win a national championship.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You watch playoff games. The playoffs are all that matter. The league's got an issue. They just don't want to admit it. They brag about how huge they are, how global they are, ratings are through the roof, profits are through the roof. I mean, between the NBA and NHL lying about their ratings and the money they make, I'm sick and tired of it.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we wrap up this first hour together here. Colby Dant back in the saddle with us. And Colby, what a Saturday slate in college hoops it is going to be. It starts, I think, interestingly enough, at the noon time frame, where we've got Tennessee, who bounced back pretty well there in a nice win against Vandy, taking on Texas A&M and Buzz, who got absolutely embarrassed at Mississippi State. They are home, so what gives? Does Tennessee go on the road and get it done?
No, I don't think so. And I was on the wrong side of that play with Buzz in Starkville. But I think you still look at it. A&M's the most experienced team in the SEC. They're coming back home after an embarrassing loss. And by the way, should I add in, Rick Barnes has never beaten Buzz Williams. He's 0-2 in College Station there. I just think A&M, Tennessee's a team that we get closer to March, I just like fading Rick Barnes. It's been working for me for about 25 years. So I'm going to continue to ride that. I think A&M, though, just the fact they're an offensive rebounding juggernaut, they're back at home after an embarrassing loss. I know both teams chart really well defensively. Tennessee's actually the one that charts even better. But on the road, that hasn't really traveled well. They're just 4-4 on the road. I like the Aggies big here.
So I love it. Last week, everyone's running to the window to bet Texas Tech as your national champion. Then they play TCU and get absolutely smoked. Hysterical as TCU out-physicals them and gets it done. Now you're taking on a West Virginia team. They're laying like 12 points here, but West Virginia doesn't often get blown out. They may lose their share of games, but they're not getting blown out here. This feels like a huge number for Texas Tech to cover, do they?
Yeah, I mean, you got a great point. Like that, you go back, they almost won that game at Baylor last time they hit the road. West Virginia did, and you gotta really give it up for that coaching staff to come in year one, and they only have like a 7-man rotation because of injuries. So to do that in the Big 12, I mean, they're in a spot. I know they're on the outside looking in, but if they win a game like this, they're gonna get in. Like this is a huge spot. They're the more desperate team. But I tend to agree with. I just think first off, it's that far road trip. I mean, what do you even fly into? You fly in, you take a bus for a couple hours, And Texas Tech coming off that really bad loss that I was on. I was on TCU, but I think it's gonna be a little too much. I'm gonna lay the points. Texas Tech, the way they play defense, when you have a small rotation, this is where it burns you with an elite defensive team. So I think the injury is too much. W still might be. They'll have their chances down the stretch to get into the tournament, but I think they lose here. I like laying that number.
I'm with you there. And then, of course, in years past, this would have been a first 1 to 50 wins, but Houston and Iowa State much differently offensively this year. What do you think in Houston laying 9?
Can't wait to watch this game. I think this number is a little bit too much, personally, and I've actually seen it. I think I've seen it a little bit higher than that too. But they're so similar. I'm on the points all day. Like I think these teams are kind of mirror images of one another. They've both been better offensively, to your point, but they're still just both so physical. I know Houston charts as the top rated defense in the nation, but Iowa State sitting there back at 13 or 14. And I think if you throw out that Maui Invitational, I think they'd be in the top 5. So, I give me the points. I think this is going to be a game. I think Houston will probably prevail, but I think this is going to be like 4 or 5 point game. 2-minute mark, you'll have the Cougs up by a basket or two. Let's ride the Cyclones there.
Does Alabama have a 3-game losing streak staring them in the face here as they welcome in Kentucky?
I don't think so. I think this is a get-right spot. Alabama at home with that offense. And Kentucky, one of the things, Mark Pope's done a great job, but they lack athleticism. They're not athletic like they were a year ago. I think the track meet game, obviously they run the West Head offense there. I like Alabama to come out of its shell a little bit and get back to what they were. I like laying that number.
You like laying that number? All right, what are we doing? Gonzaga, St. Mary's. We talked about it earlier in the week. St. Mary's got it done barely. Do the Zags get a rule of revenge?
Oh, I think so. Going into the kennel, this is one of the best environments in college basketball. I'm loading up on the Zags, and they've won every game since, so let's go.
Yeah, I love it. Scorched earth for Gonzaga ever since then. Colby, always a pleasure, brother. We appreciate the time. We've got much more game time decisions to get to. Another hour straight ahead here on the grid.
I talked about AZ Fun a lot, folks, and said when she got back from that knee injury, remember, it's the second ACL tear she's had in her career, that she was going to be a difference maker. UConn is plus 330. They're not going to get challenged again in the Big East until they come out of conference play in the conference tournament. I still like them at plus 330 to win a national championship.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
You watch playoff games. The playoffs are all that matter. The league's got an issue. They just don't want to admit it. They brag about how huge they are, how global they are, ratings are through the roof, profits are through the roof. I mean, between the NBA and NHL lying about their ratings and the money they make, I'm sick and tired of it.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in, off and running hour 2 together here on Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as we are getting ready for the opening tip in the early slate of games here in the association. A couple of interesting games, an interesting market movement here. We'll go over some of those as the Memphis Grizzlies getting ready to take on the Orlando Magic. We also have the Milwaukee Bucks on the road getting ready to take on the Washington Wizards. Then, of course, the Knicks find themselves on the road getting ready to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the interesting part about the New York Knicks, and these are all about to tip off, bottom of the hour, 7:30 tip off, and that is going to be my Miami Heat getting ready to take on the Toronto Raptors. And as much as I want to bet the Heat in this spot, who, let's face it, they've had some time now to adjust to life after Jimmy Butler. The Heat very much still playing for a spot in the play-in, trying to get to that postseason. Toronto, even though they're only a couple of games out, is clearly in rebuild mode and playing for the future. Feels like this could be a good opportunity for the Miami Heat to put together, who, by the way, were losing their last 4 games going into the All-Star break. And Tyler Hero, your 3-point champion this year, said as much yesterday, in fact, that he really does feel like this is an opportunity to hit the reset button. Guys are now familiar with one another. They realize that they've given a lot back, but they have an opportunity to play in the postseason, and they know better than anybody. All you got to do is get there. Once you get there, anything is possible. So I do think the Miami Heat will show up and show out here tonight. But the New York Knicks are fascinating to me just simply because this number, by the way, has cratered. This was as high as 9 points earlier in the day here today. And now I'm starting to see sevens showing up. That was once we learned that OG Anunoby is available here for the New York Knicks tonight. He is going. This is now, I saw 6.5 in some spots. So the money came in on the Knicks once the market realized that they'd have, for the most part, they'll have Cat, they'll have Brunson, they'll have Anunoby, they'll have exactly the kinds of pieces that they're going to need in order to go toe-to-toe on the road against the Cleveland Cavaliers at Rocket Arena. But here's the problem. The New York Knicks haven't beaten the Cavs this year. In fact, they haven't beaten anybody that is considered that elite tier in the NBA. Now, who is that? Well, let's face it. They haven't beaten Cleveland. We've seen this already this game. It has not worked out well. Forget about Boston. I think they've lost by a combined 40 or 50 points in a couple of games that they have played against Boston. They got smoked by OKC. So when you're looking at some of these better teams and you look at the New York Knicks, who are sitting at 37-18, listen, 37-18 is a great record, but it's made up those 37 wins of a whole lot of nobodies. You're talking about middle tier to bottom rung teams, and that's how the Knicks have rolled some wins here. Now, they did take on Chicago last night, who's obviously in complete rebuild, blow it up, light a match, start from scratch. And what happened? Well, they got taken to overtime last night, and they barely won against the Chicago Bulls. They needed Karl Anthony Towns to drop 32 and get 18 boards for them to be able to hold on and win in overtime. Thank goodness for Miles McBride and Jalen Brunson there, because otherwise they would have started right out of the break with a loss. Now, is it possible that they were looking ahead to this game? Because, listen, the Knicks know they've beaten absolutely nobody. They can't beat the better teams in the NBA. We've got to see the Knicks show up tonight on the road and get one from the Cavs. That has got to be your way you're thinking. Covering is not going to be good enough for the New York. Oh, well, we didn't get blown out. That's not good enough. If we're going to take the Knicks seriously, they need to head into Cleveland, who has the best record in the East at home. This is the toughest place to play. They don't lose a lot of games. They're 45-10 on the year. They need to go there, and they need to win this game tonight. No excuses. If they don't, and it's the same old, well, at this point, how is anybody taking this Knicks team seriously when they can't beat the best teams in the NBA? So I think Cleveland is ripe right now. They had to have a big comeback last night in the fourth quarter as the Brooklyn Nets, the resurgent Brooklyn Nets, by the way, played them toe-to-toe, very tough, and eventually the Cavs were able to pull away. But that was a lot of energy and effort last night to beat a Brooklyn Nets team. Now they're home, and now I don't like the spot. You have Mobley, you have Donovan Mitchell. You go down the list here, your three best players, Darius Garland, didn't get an all-star break. They had to fly out west. They had to participate in all of that. Then they had to hop on a plane, fly all the way east to meet the Brooklyn game. Now they're back on a plane. They're back home tonight for the New York Knicks. I don't love the spot for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but at the same time, Knicks, here's your shot. And I wouldn't be at all mad at those of you that might take a little stab on the money line for the New York Knicks, because if not now, when? When are we going to get that big effort here? It remains to be seen. And again, the other big story tonight, the Milwaukee Bucks, no Damian Lillard, no Taurean Prince, but Kyle Kuzma certainly making his presence felt. And it's a reunion of sorts, is it not? As they take on the Washington Wizards, who will, for all indications are that this is Chris Middleton's first game. He is going to play in this game tonight against his former team, the Milwaukee Bucks. There was that trade where Kuzma left the Wizards to go to Milwaukee, and Milwaukee sends their longtime legend there, champion Chris Middleton, to the single worst team in the NBA. This is the second of a back-to-back for Milwaukee, too, who had their hands full last night. So, yeah, this could be. I don't know if the Wizards win this game. They only have 9 wins on the season. But this is another one of those games where you're going, Dame Lillard out, Taurean Prince out. Giannis looks like he's a go, but they already don't have Bobby Portis because he's suspended because of the illegal substances. So this is a very interesting spot for the Milwaukee Bucks. It's one where if you're looking for a dog tonight, maybe to get behind, I know they're 9-45, but I think there are worse bets you can make than thinking maybe the Wizards can hang for a while here in this game. All of those games underway. The 7 o'clock games in college basketball also underway. Marquette and Villanova, what's happening there at the Wells Fargo Center? We'll have updates there. We'll take a look at this scoreboard, and then we'll take a look at some of those late games and some great games coming up. Don't forget, tomorrow, one of the final Saturdays of regular season, only a handful left. And what games on top 25 teams. We've got a slate tomorrow for the ages. We'll talk about a lot of them as Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parody. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as we've got, well, a lot going on. It's an interesting time of year as we sit here on the 21st of February. We've got the end of the regular season in college basketball, which means conference tournaments are right around the corner. It's put up or shut up time as teams are jockeying for position in their conference tournaments because, well, they're trying to be selected on that selection Sunday to play in March Madness for a national championship. So motivation this time of year in college basketball is something you need to keep in mind when handicapping and betting it. And for the NBA, you also have teams here now that have the final quarter of the regular season teams that are also going to be battling teams like the Miami Heat, the Golden State Warriors, teams that we need to win some games. We've made some trades. We've revamped our team, and we did it in hopes that we were going to have enough to be able to make a run at the postseason. So it's an interesting time of year on the hardwood when looking to bet it, and nobody knows that better than our good friend Scotty Wetzel, Mr. Opposite Picks, who will take over at the top of the hour for a little in-game live here tonight. And some good games on the college slate here, Scott. Obviously, the late game tonight with Michigan State will be the focus. But right now, a blitz by Villanova right now, 17-8 over Marquette. In the first half, about 13 minutes to go there at the Wells Fargo Center. Were you leaning one way or the other on that one?
Yeah, I like Villanova, Joe, a little bit. I saw the end of their game, their last contest against UConn. I don't know if you saw that or not, but they had a late lead. I say late, I say, midway through the second half, and they scored literally less than 10 points over the final 12 minutes. They scored 8 points the rest of the game. They were up 14, Joe. 53-39, right? Villanova needs every signature win in the world, right? And then they scored 8 points the final 12 minutes. They end up losing the game. So I figured this would be a bounce-back spot. They go one of two ways after a performance like that, lay an egg or play better. I thought they would play better, so I do like Villanova at home tonight.
All right, so let me ask you then that game coming up, Big Ten battle, and by the way, like Ohio State, you should be ashamed of yourself, not even being able to score 50 points last night. But we do have Michigan State on the road against Michigan. Listen, we know Michigan undefeated, I believe, on their own home court, but it's not like they've been blowing teams out here, Scott. That's the fear. How did you break this game down?
Yeah, I thought about going with the over, Joe. Last night at Michigan, it's been an overrun, 7-2 over. Usually at Michigan State, they go under. But, I sided with, I got a ranked team at home, albeit against a rival ranked team against Michigan State. I get that. But I'm getting Michigan and laying 2.5. They're 20-5. They've won 5 straight home games, 4-1 against the spread, last 5 at home against Michigan State. I'm getting them basically at pick 'em. We've seen Michigan State be really good, 6-2 on the road, but we've seen them hiccup here a little bit, losing the game out west. So I took Michigan laying to 2.5. Not comfortable. Don't love the pick, but it should be a great game Friday night. Crowd, no doubt, going to be great. So give me the home team laying only 2.5.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. Listen, it's two teams that are going to see each other again in the Big Ten tournament there, and then March Madness. I think both have already punched their tickets. So this will give us a big precursor game and learn a little something about both of them. But there is a game you can probably throw out the under. I'm expecting some scoring when you got Youngstown State involved. This is a game coming up a little bit later, taking on Wisconsin, Milwaukee. What are you leaning towards in this one?
Yeah, it's a big game in the horizon. Two of the best teams in the horizon, which generally figures to get just one bid, right? 18-9 Milwaukee at 18-10 Youngstown State. I'm not exactly sure why Youngstown State's only a 1.5 or so, depending on where you do your shopping, but basically pick them. They're 4-1 last 5 games against the spread at home against Wisconsin, Milwaukee. They've beaten Wisconsin, Milwaukee 7 of the last 8 at Youngstown, where the game is tonight. And I'm getting them basically a pick 'em. Huge game. Yeah, give me the Penguins. Give me Youngstown State. Laying a 1.5 tonight against Milwaukee.
All right, now be honest. Did you back Doug Gottlieb for a winning streak here? Did you back Wisconsin Green Bay tonight to get it done once again against Robert Morris here? Can he stay within this number tonight, Scotty?
So it's a big number, right? You know what? I'm going to go against him. I don't think so. It's Doug Gottlieb, right? I mean, last time we saw him, he was on a 4-letter network, and now he's trying to coach basketball. It's all kind of goofy things. So, I'm going to go against anything 4-letter network I go against. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that's all right, because I thought they might be calling you as soon as the season's over. Why not? Let all the radio guys go ahead and just and coach college basketball. It seems like anybody can do it. The
Tied at
NBA
19,
tonight.
I will say that. They are
Right.
tied at 19, getting only 10.5. It's down to 10.5.
I had said winning is contagious sometimes, and if you just never do it, sometimes when you do it, you're like, you know what, this feels pretty good. Maybe we should keep doing it. But you got the NBA tonight with the Milwaukee Bucks, but no Damian Lillard here in a winnable game against Washington, but it's kind of the revenge game, is it not, with Middleton and Kuzma?
Yeah, I thought about that angle, but ultimately it's still Washington, and you wonder really how much they need to win. You know, we saw this, we see it all the time. Spurs last night are the lead example, right? No Wembanyama, and they go out there and they win the basketball game. So we've seen these star teams. No Greek freak was really not Greek. I get that. No Lillard. Somehow or another he could partake in the All-Star Fest. It's fun. He's the antithesis of LeBron, right? LeBron can't partake in the All-Star game. Yet then he plays back-to-back games. Lillard can, and yet he can't play tonight. I figure this stuff out. So take a deep breath, take a step back, give me the better team, no matter who's playing. That's Milwaukee. I'll lay the 3.5 right now.
I love it. All right, we got much more in the NBA to talk about as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You watch playoff games. The playoffs are all that matter. The league's got an issue. They just don't want to admit it. They brag about how huge they are, how global they are, ratings are through the roof, profits are through the roof. I mean, between the NBA and NHL lying about their ratings and the money they make, I'm sick and tired of it.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I guess this is the battle for second place in the NBA's MVP. It's been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He was like minus 250 a couple months ago. Then last month it was 3-1. I think it's now up to minus 440 here.
Voter fatigue is a real thing, but there is a chance for him to maybe go on a hot tear, go on a stretch that maybe opens the conversation back up a little bit. I wouldn't say Shai's completely out of the woods just yet.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Joe Raineri, joined once again by our good friend Scotty Wetzel, who will be taking over here at the top of the hour for In-Game Live, as we've got 20 games in college basketball scheduled here tonight, heading into a absolute monster weekend tomorrow of important college basketball matchups, a lot of top 25 teams going at it tomorrow there, Scotty. But the NBA is back. The NBA underway in a nice slate tonight. You talked about the Bucks earlier. You liked them against Washington, and why not, right? I mean, it is Washington, but Washington's out to a 17-8 quick lead there. The New York Knicks also, Scotty, let me get your feeling on them. Anunoby was ruled in about a half hour before tip-off. We started to see a lot of Knick money hit the marketplace. How did you approach this game? Side, total, what'd you think?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was going to play. He's missed the last 6, Joe, so he didn't play last night, so it's kind of weird he would be able to play tonight. Knicks in an overtime game beat the Bulls last night. I went with a rare underplay. Trends say under if you buy into trends. Last 13, and this was a monster number tonight, 241. Right now it's a 244.5. They just tipped off, about 5-10 minutes ago. 241.5, 12-1 under, Joe, their last 13 meetings. Now, they've had some high-scoring games, but much like tonight, the number is so high that it's still going under. 241.5. Knicks game last night with the Bulls went under, and that went to overtime. So maybe a little change of philosophy, because the Knicks have had a great year going over, especially at home. This one's on the road, but that's a big number. And again, the game went under last night at home. Maybe the Knicks are taking these things a little bit more seriously, winding down final 25 games of the season. So little hunch on the under. 12-1 under is a pretty strong trend.
I mean, Scotty, the Knicks have not beat any of the elite teams yet. And here we are, right, at this point in the season. So you haven't beat OKC. Boston's run you over. You've already lost to Cleveland. Like, at what point, like, Scotty, at some point, you got to be able to win this game here tonight. So it'll be interesting to see if they can do that. And I'm kind of with you. I feel like it's going to be landing under if the Knicks are going to get this thing done tonight and win this game outright. What about Minnesota? There are a lot of question marks health-wise with Edwards and company and his availability in this game here tonight as they're on the road taking on the Rockets, who thought they would have Van Fleet back, but it doesn't look like they're going to for this game, Scotty.
Yeah, and AE, Anthony Edwards, he's one of those where you always have to check now. So half the time he's in, half the time he's out. You don't know. Didn't play in the All-Star game. Another guy that missed the All-Star game last moment, right? Groin injury. I took Minnesota just the same, plus the 3.5. I'm thinking he's going to play. Houston kind of limped into the All-Star break, Joe. They're 1-8 against the spread, last 9 at home. Minnesota's awful against the spread, but at home. On the road, they're much, much better where they're not favorites and they're getting points like they are tonight. They've owned this series. Now, most teams have, because Houston hasn't been really good the last several years, except for this year and last year, right? But I will say Minnesota 12-2 straight up, 10-4 against the spread, last 14 against the Rockets. I'm getting 3.5 points. I'll take a stab at Minnesota plus the 3.5.
Yeah, why not? Not a bad way to look at it there, late night. And then, of course, the Sacramento Kings taking on Jimmy Butler's Golden State Warriors here tonight for this late game. Listen, Golden State, now's the time, right? You made the trades. Now's the time to make a move here. Do you like them in this spot tonight?
I'm going to take Sacramento, getting a 2.5 points at home. They've won the last 5, believe it or not, against Golden State. Golden State 1-11 straight up and against the spread their last 12 division games, as this is against the Pacific. For whatever reason, Sacramento has owned this of late. I'm not buying into Jimmy B and Golden State, Joe. I'm just not. I took their season total under. I don't think they get the job done. This is one of those games where if you're going to hit the over, you probably win. If you don't, you go with the lose. I'm going with their second half under. I think Sacramento gets the home win.
Taking Sacramento to get it done. Should be a great, some great late night games here tonight, Scotty. And of course, you'll lead the charge coming up top of the hour for In-Game Live. And it should be a fun one. And oh, yeah, baseball has started, Scotty. I'm sure you guys will have a lot to say about that. We will as well as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You watch playoff games. The playoffs are all that matter. The league's got an issue. They just don't want to admit it. They brag about how huge they are, how global they are, ratings are through the roof, profits are through the roof. I mean, between the NBA and NHL lying about their ratings and the money they make, I'm sick and tired of it.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I guess this is the battle for second place in the NBA's MVP. It's been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He was like minus 250 a couple months ago. Then last month it was 3-1. I think it's now up to minus 440 here.
Voter fatigue is a real thing, but there is a chance for him to maybe go on a hot tear, go on a stretch that maybe opens the conversation back up a little bit. I wouldn't say Shai's completely out of the woods just yet.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. Appreciate you stopping by as, well, we've got some NBA action underway. And so far, as we've got about 2 minutes left to go in the first quarter in these early starts, I did not quite understand the line here, but the Memphis Grizzlies were only laying 2 at the start of the game. They are in Orlando taking on the Magic. They are up 26-17. And if memory serves me correctly, the Memphis Grizzlies have been perfect this season on the second of back-to-backs here. Meanwhile, the Magic still struggling a little bit to get any sort of offense put together on a consistent basis, and that's really kind of been the problem for the Orlando Magic. They had a game, of course, that we saw last night with them that unfortunately they had to come from behind, and I say unfortunately simply because, well, I had the Atlanta Hawks in that one at home, but they could not get it done, and Orlando hung it on them there late and was able to get back and win that game. That's not something we often hear or say when it comes to the Orlando Magic, but a 114-108, and it was all about Banchero last night, who dropped 36 points for the Orlando Magic. But listen, tonight I'm looking, they've got Wendell Carter Jr. in there, Banchero's in, Anthony Black, Gary Harris, Caldwell Pope, Franz Wagner, Anthony. The Orlando Magic are the healthiest they have been in a very long time here. Still don't trust them offensively on the second of a back-to-back. If Boncaro is your everything, it's a big ask for this kid to come out of that game against Atlanta and now go up against a much more physical Memphis Grizzlies team who also the second of a back-to-back, a very disappointing game last night against the Indiana Pacers, in which they were leading right up until the second quarter, in which they allowed the Pacers to drop a 50-burger in the second quarter. You don't get that very often in the NBA, but that was how bad it was for Memphis last night. They lost that game. Now they're traveling to Orlando, but you already got Ja Morant with 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Already, I think he's got half the points that he got last night. It was not a good shooting night for Ja Morant, but he's in. Jaren Jackson Jr. is in. Santi Aldama is in. So is Desmond Bane. So they have their full complement of players as well. And right now, 28-17 is the score in that game here as they are getting close to finishing up the first quarter there. How about the Wizards? I told you it was going to be interesting to see. Don't love the spot for the Milwaukee Bucks, and they came out a little slow. It is now 32-19 as they get ready to close out the first quarter. And I'll repeat, the Washington Wizards are up 32-19 in the first quarter here as it's coming to a close. And wouldn't you know it, when you look here, you've got some guys. Chris Middleton, 5 points already in the first quarter. Sarr, also their number 1 draft pick this year. He's got 9 points, 3 rebounds. This is not a terrible team, although they have been tanking. They certainly have some talent. And if you catch a team like the Milwaukee Bucks with no Lillard, no Bobby Portis, not a lot of depth, it's not hard to believe that Milwaukee is going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting in this game on the second of a back-to-back if they're not only going to win this but have to cover it, which I believe was 5.5 points. So that is definitely a game. If you didn't want to lay the 5.5 with the Bucks pre-flop, now might not be a bad time to look at the Milwaukee Bucks and jump in, as you can certainly get them at plus money. The New York Knicks, we've talked about it all hour long. The Knicks have to win a game against a quality team. Otherwise, what are we doing, and how do we take this team seriously? Well, they'll have that opportunity tonight. They got about a minute to go here in the first quarter. The Knicks are down 13 to the Cavaliers. It is a 34-20 Cleveland Cavaliers lead here. So the Knicks looking to respond in a big way in Cleveland, and they've already given up 34 points with a minute to go to the Cleveland Cavaliers. That, unfortunately, not going to get it done. Brunson's already got 11 points in the game, but come on, Knicks. They are going to have to claw their way and maybe play a little bit of defense at some point to give those shooters an opportunity to get back into this game. Also, the Miami Heat and Toronto Raptors getting underway here as the Miami Heat find themselves, well, in desperation mode, right? The Miami Heat, not great so far this year, but they are very much alive in the postseason race, and Miami knows better than anybody. You just got to be in it to win it. There is no tanking in Miami. It really wouldn't matter even if they tried, given the fact that they've already mortgaged most of their future picks here for the guys that they have on this roster. But they're also the healthiest that they've been in a while. And the Toronto Raptors, despite the success they had just before the All-Star break, they're in rebuild mode. They're playing for the future. This is a game in years past in which the Miami Heat would take advantage of and win going away. They'll have that opportunity here as they're just getting ready to get it going there. In college basketball, some interesting happenings right now, especially for Marquette and Villanova. This was not exactly the kind of game we thought we were going to be getting, as Villanova, taking on number 16 Marquette at the Wells Fargo Center, has come out blistering, 36-23 right now, a 13-point lead over Marquette. They still have about 3.5 minutes to go here. So the idea that this was going to be some sort of slugfest or under game, well, it may change in the second half, but I can tell you this right now. The points are flying in this game as they've got about 3.5 minutes to go. We've already got 59 points. Would not shock me if we're well over the 70 mark when it's all said and done. That game closed 142.5. But Eric Dixon is getting it done right now for Nova. Nova shooting 60% from the floor. And get this, 9 of 11 from three-point range. It's 82%. It's a big reason why they are up right now 13 points against Marquette. Marquette is a interesting number. They were a 2.5-point favorite. I would imagine you can probably get Marquette now at a pretty good price if you're looking to jump in there. 7.5, I am seeing 147.5 for an in-game total. If the three-point regresses here for Villanova and they don't continue to shoot 82% in this game, maybe grab those points with Marquette, see if they can make a run at this. So a lot of very interesting results so far early in both college and the NBA. So we're going to keep our eye on these games while we also get ready for the big one tonight between Coach Izzo and the new re-signed coach of your Michigan Wolverines there, Dusty May, signing an extension earlier today. He will remain the Wolverines head coach here. We'll have much more on it all as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You watch playoff games. The playoffs are all that matter. The league's got an issue. They just don't want to admit it. They brag about how huge they are, how global they are, ratings are through the roof, profits are through the roof. I mean, between the NBA and NHL lying about their ratings and the money they make, I'm sick and tired of it.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I guess this is the battle for second place in the NBA's MVP. It's been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He was like minus 250 a couple months ago. Then last month it was 3-1. I mean, it's now up to minus 440 here.
Voter fatigue is a real thing, but there is a chance for him to maybe go on a hot tear, go on a stretch that maybe opens the conversation back up a little bit. I wouldn't say Shai's completely out of the woods just yet.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. A very happy Friday to you. Hope that it has been a profitable week for you, but we've got plenty of action here tonight underway right now in college hoops. 20 total games on the card, and the big one is in the Big East right now. As don't look now, can't say I didn't offer it up for you, but it does look like maybe the three-point shots are starting not to fall anymore for Villanova as they've missed their last couple, and it's given Marquette an opportunity to get it down to single digits. 39-31 with about a minute and a half to go in the first half. Already, this is more points than I thought we would be getting, but when you go 9 of your first 11 from 3 for Villanova, guess what? You're going to score some points here. So upset in the brewing in that one. And of course, the other upset happening right now is the Washington Wizards are taking it to the Milwaukee Bucks, 35-23. So some interesting early results so far for you guys, but in-game live coming up here in just about 15 minutes. They will certainly keep you posted on all of it, including with our man Dave Sharapan, who has clearly turned the page on everything else and welcomes back Major League Baseball, who we have finally got a chance to see over the last couple of days. Got to see some action. I had some friends at the ballpark in Tampa today for that game with the New York Yankees. But it does feel good to have baseball back here, Dave. And, boy, opening day just around the corner at this point, isn't it?
Great to see you, Joe. Yes. Speaking of Tampa, I'll be there next week. Landon, going to see some spring training stuff myself in person. I may be down to see you. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to make that trip. It's a long drive, apparently, from where I'm at, but that's okay. Yes, Joe, it's official. We can still play for the Yankees now because we can grow our beards. So we're ready to go. So if you're going to let it go a little bit and grow it out, as long as it's neatly trimmed, we'll be able to still maybe get an at-bat, sit on the bench, something like that. New York against Cleveland tonight in basketball. I think that's the primary early game we'll be keeping our eye on in-game live. Me and Wetzel will be doing the thing on Friday. As we do, we're talking about Milwaukee and Washington. It might be time to bet Milwaukee plus the points. Like this is down early. This is one of those situations where you go, okay. I mean, what did this thing close? 5.5. Yep. Might be time to take Milwaukee. Maybe they'll be, tied at halftime or down a little bit, and then we'll, do something in the second half.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, it's second of a back-to-back for a lot of these teams here tonight in the NBA, but it's not the halfway point either, Dave. We're at this point in the season where you come out of the All-Star break. There is no more sleeping here. Like, these teams have to get it done and make a move now. Milwaukee is one of those teams here, so I kind of like your thought there. Jumping in now at plus money is not a bad look for the Milwaukee Bucks here. So what is your thought? You're going to be heading to Florida for spring training. You're bypassing Arizona altogether. So you're going to come to the Florida West Coast. Are you just going to go down with the Yankees and then Fort Myers to the Reds? So you're going to go that route, or how are you going to go ahead and do it?
We've done some work for MLB Network, and we've done some work for the Pirates, and we're going to go and shake some hands, watch Skeens throw up close and in person, just make sure if we're going to go over their season win total that it's for real before we do anything. I'm going to have to check out the Yankees probably. And then ideally make my way across the state over to the Mets and see what's going on over there because all the buzz and the Soto and all these other things. So, we're going to kind of stay maybe in the middle. We're going to make all the plans this weekend and figure out exactly what we're going to do. But, it's going to be fun. I've done the Arizona thing multiple times. I used to live there. It's awesome. We might be doing that the following week. We're going to see how this all works. So we may get down to Arizona. If not, well, then we'll do some West Coast swing stuff. I got to ask you, 10.4 million people watched the hockey game yesterday. Were you one of those 10.4 million people, Joe? Because it was awesome. It was a great week. 3-2 Canada final, and under 6.5 in game, under 5.5 during the game. And we even took a shot at over 4.5. Things couldn't have worked out any better total-wise for me. Did you watch it, Joe? Please tell me you watched it. It was great.
Oh, yeah. No. Of course you watched it. And you watched it simply because nothing about it felt fake and like it didn't matter. So when the players are bought in, it makes it a totally different ball game, Dave. And that's what this has been from day one. The NHL nailed it. The NBA is a hot mess. They don't get it. But I think it begins and ends with the players. If it means something to them, it's going to mean something to the fans watching it. If it means nothing to them, they'll find something else to do and they won't pay any attention to it. So the NHL, though, boy, oh boy, could it have worked out any better for them? I mean, you're talking February, Dave. Those are bigger numbers than some Stanley Cup Finals games, Dave. That's how big those numbers were.
It's the biggest hockey game apparently in the last 30 years. Like that was
Unreal.
The biggest hockey game audience ever.
And it meant nothing.
In the standings wise, but it meant everything to the players and the coaches and the fans and the countries and everybody involved, which is why all we can ask for in sports. Morency got me this hat. It's the Maple Leaf.
I love it.
It's Canadian, and I got to wear it. Shout out. Canada was awesome. But hockey won. Whether you bet it or not, you were engaged. Now, how do we turn that to the next page like tomorrow? Edmonton's at Philly in the morning. Vegas is hosting the Canucks at night.
Yes.
It's going to be a little hard to get excited for
I'll
those.
tell you how you do it, Dave. Whatever you do, don't watch the Chicago Blackhawks tomorrow. Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You watch playoff games. The playoffs are all that matter. The league's got an issue. They just don't want to admit it. They brag about how huge they are, how global they are, ratings through the roof, profits are through the roof. I mean, between the NBA and NHL lying about their ratings and the money they make, I'm sick and tired of it.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I guess this is the battle for second place in the NBA's MVP. It's been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He was like minus 250 a couple months ago. Then last month it was 3-1. I think it's now up to minus 440 here.
Voter fatigue is a real thing, but there is a chance for him to maybe go on a hot tear, go on a stretch that maybe opens the conversation back up a little bit. I wouldn't say Shai's completely out of the woods just yet.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here as we look to close out this edition of Game Time Decisions. Dave Sharapan in the hot seat here with us. He'll be taking over with Scotty Wetzel for a little in-game live coming up here tonight. Still some interesting NBA games coming up tonight, Dave, that you guys will be covering. And I think the Timberwolves Rockets is interesting with those two teams. But I think the Warriors and Jimmy Butler and the Sacramento Kings, all right, both those teams made a lot of moves at the trade deadline, big moves. Well, it's got to pay off for one of them, right? The question is, do we trust Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler now versus DeRozan and Levine again over with the Sacramento Kings? It's going to be a good one tonight.
It's so interesting because that game, after the moves, you would think Golden State would be a bigger favorite. So I'm questioning why it's only -2. And we'll look at it. Wetzel may have it involved in the Black Cloud play of the night or same game parlay or something like that. But it looks so obvious to just play Golden State. I think, so many years in the book and, taking bets and being on that side of the counter. The caution and trepidation that you do after the All-Star break, especially after it seemed like it was extended. It seemed like even the guys that went didn't really want to be there. I have no idea what to expect. I used to say the couple days after the All-Star break was the easiest days to book the games. You just put it up and let it, go because nobody really knows anything as much during the season. But like this weekend, back-to-backs, who was on vacation, who was in the Caribbean, who was doing what, who was actually getting shots up in a gym. You have no idea. I would have to think, though, that Butler and Steph tonight is the side. It seems so easy. The other game, Joe, that I'm interested in is San Antonio yesterday was a home dog without Wemby. And the Wemby news and sports books are giving back that money and all that other stuff on a defensive player of the year. They were 2-point dogs to Phoenix yesterday. They're 4.5-point dogs to Detroit. What's going on?
You tell me, Dave. Didn't make any sense, given the fact that they just, nobody thought they were. The news came out, everyone was betting Phoenix, and Phoenix got absolutely destroyed last night. So it's not like they're void of talent on that team. I think people need to realize that. Still a lot of quality talent, even though Wembanyama is not going to be available to them. But is Detroit that good a team where we should just be running to the window and backing them on the road here? I'm a little concerned there.
Hard to believe. Hard to believe. Detroit's had a really good season up to this point, and we'll see what they do in the second half now. But my goodness, a bigger favorite than Phoenix was. I know it's back-to-back, and again, sometimes those back-to-backs affect teams differently. I don't know.
Yes.
I saw it went, all right, we'll focus on that one, at least at the beginning of the show. That one tips at 5. What time is that? 5:40 Pacific, 8:40 Eastern. What about Minnesota and Houston? I think that's the game in the middle that's left. Houston, again, I like Houston a lot. Off the break, it seems, again, if you get 4 or less, you got to lay it with Houston. But that's just me.
I got to figure out if Anthony Edwards is playing in this game or not. He was still listed as questionable. So without him, there is no Fred VanVleet for Houston. They were hoping to have him back. So it feels like it would be Houston or pass for me in this one, especially bet it now because if Ant ain't playing, that's going to 6.5 before it's all said and done. All said and done. All right, Dave, we'll pass the baton to you guys. Get out of here. It's always a pleasure. Hope to see you at spring training here in the South Florida area as we get ready. Pitchers and catchers are here. Spring training baseball is already off and running. And quite honestly, the Yankees have already won a game. So that's good enough. They should just stop the season right now and everything will be just fine. Not so fine for another New York team right now as the Knicks are getting absolutely lambasted by the Cleveland Cavaliers, 61-43. They still got 5 minutes to go in the second, and the Cavs have already dropped 61 points on the New York Knicks. You've got to be kidding me. Also, the Miami Heat up 17-8 over the Raptors early. And the Wizards could be the upset of the night. Don't go anywhere. In-game live has got you covered. It's next. We'll see you again tomorrow here on Game Time Decisions.
You have Duke the 1, Houston the 2. They're the two best defensive teams in the country. I want to see them play for the right to go to the Final Four because I think that would be a kick-ass game.